I got an interesting Giants take.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready for the Giants to trade Camilo Doval.
What?
I think I'm ready for the Giants to move on from Camilo Doval.
That quickly? I mean, that seems like it escalated quickly. I'm going to need to borrow from Roxy Bernstein and simply say,
please explain.
Thank you, Roxy. Grandy, you're locked in.
I will.
That's what happens when you get up at 3:07.
I will explain. I'm not drawing a line in the sand. I'm not saying trade him just to trade him, but I think what a weapon to have at the trade deadline to offer the kind of player that never gets offered. In other words, every baseball team in the bigs is looking for the same thing at the deadline, and that is bullpen help. Everybody's looking for that. You immediately walk to the front of the line with the top reliever available if you offer up Camilo Doval. Now, the reason he's such a weapon is because he could be a buy candidate or a sell candidate. You could look at it however you want. He is the established reliever that can go help whoever is in need at the top of their division. At the same time, he's also cheap and cost-controlled for the next 3 years. And so I know a lot of you are like, exactly, Mark, so why the hell would they move on from Camilo Doval? Well, here's why. I think that would be an incredible weapon at the deadline. And if the right trade presents itself, that's the kind of player that can bring you a major return. In fact, you might be able to get a prospect and something that helps your major league roster in return. And the reason I want to do it is twofold. A, the obvious one. He's pitching like crap. He is not doing his job. But more importantly is the way he's not doing his job. I am starting to hear way too many whispers that, by the way, are not even whispers anymore, that Camilo's behavior inside that clubhouse and bullpen is rubbing people the wrong way. You know, when we get upset, when a closer has to come in a non-closer situation, well, I think Camilo has also gotten upset a time or two, and he took it out on that poor water cooler a few weeks ago. And so now Camilo is starting to get chirpy with regard to his usage when he comes in. I have found almost every time he comes in, I'm like, it's not perfect, but I get it. Like, either you haven't pitched in 6 days, so they want to get you a little bit of work, or this was a save situation and you were up and you were warm, and then the team scored 3 runs and now they're up by 5, but you're already warm. You've already basically pitched today. We might as well have you in there. It's not perfect, but his usage for a very, very taxed bullpen, I think, has largely been explainable. And when the bullpen is that taxed and everybody's getting overworked, don't be the dude that's like, I'm kind of above the rest of you. It's a bad look for a guy who has barely gotten his feet wet in the bigs, has only been an established closer for basically a year and a half. And if you're telling me that that's the way you behave when you make $770,000, what the hell are you going to do when you actually get broken off a big deal 3 years from now? Closers turn and burn, man.
No doubt.
They're good, and then they stink. See Edwin Diaz. Listen.
There's a long list of them.
This is a get rid of at the right time possibility. If the right deal presents itself, I do not like the arc of Camilo's career right now. I don't like it.
I wonder if you are a team that fancies itself as a wild card contender, and they are, and you mentioned that everybody's out there looking for bullpen, and that's what happens at the deadline. You're going to ostensibly hurt your bullpen by trading one of your better pitchers. And I know he's struggled of late, but you still have 3 more years of arbitration control, and the guy's got nasty stuff. You have no one else on your roster that can throw 102. Rodriguez can get close. Yeah. And maybe Jordan Hicks, if you put him in the bullpen, he's a guy who can throw high 90s. But
and Ryan Walker
you're
is
looking
reliable.
at a player that Camilo Doval has been good at times, and lately he's been struggling. I just wonder if that doesn't come across as a sell to your fan base when everybody needs bullpen and you're going to take somebody from your pen and trade him out. And I guess it all depends on what you get back.
Yeah.
You probably won't get a reliever back. You might go out there and get a shortstop. Maybe it is Bo Bichette, a deal like that. You can get an everyday shortstop, a guy who can hit a little bit more and be a little bit more consistent. Then Wisely can go over and play second when Tyro is struggling, and you can use Fitzgerald as a true utility guy, and maybe your offense then gets deeper. But I wonder what the optics would be like to a fan base about trading Doval. You're trying to be a team that's looking to make a push here, and you're going to trade your closer. That feels like a sell to me.
Again,
I think what you get back.
Right, I think you said it. I think it's all about what you get back. I'm not in favor of trading Camilo Doval for 3 single-A guys.
Yeah.
I'm totally against that. But if you're trading Camilo Doval for Bo Bichette, I'd be interested in that idea. I'd be real interested in that idea. Because if you're getting major league talent in return, and you're basically taking one area, this is how teams often do trades, right? You're taking an area of potential excess and filling in a hole. The Giants have holes. And I don't think actually that the back end of the bullpen is one of them. Would I be taking a risk? Maybe. But you know what? You've got to take risks. And right now, I think they're taking a risk every time they send Doval out there with a 1 or a 2-run lead. It's not safe. He walks people. His ERA is almost 5. He has objectively not been a good pitcher this year. And if you're going to combine not good with an attitude, I'm out.
It's immaturity, I think.
Okay.
Immaturity showing through a little bit.
There's no room for that right now. Again, I've said this is as desperate of a period of time for this regime and this baseball team as they've had since Farhan was hired. So there is no time for, let's work it out and let's see if you can let's have a chat. Let's have another closed-door meeting like Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson. Let's see if we can figure this out. There's no time. There's no time. Farhan has literally said, essentially, the next 11 games will determine the future of this season and regime. So, look, he's not going anywhere probably for at least 11 more games, but I don't want Camilo Doval pitching in Colorado this weekend. That sounds terrifying to me. And you do have other options. Ryan Walker is an option. Could Jordan Hicks become a late reliever? Maybe. Rodriguez, I don't know. Rogers Twins, not my favorite, but Taylor has done it before. And Tyler's been fantastic in the 8th inning. Look, if you're asking me right now, today, I love the idea of Ryan Walker taking over as the closer. He has been incredibly reliable, and his stuff has been devastating, and he throws strikes. That's what I would like to see in the 9th inning for the San Francisco Giants. So Doval has not lost his job. This would be opportunistic. I'm not saying call everybody and say we're getting rid of the guy for sure. But if the right deal presents itself, rather than giving up Whisenhunt and 4 of your top prospects to get someone to play shortstop, I don't know. Let's try Doval. Because right now, my gut tells me that short-term and long-term, this is not going in a good way. This is not going to a good place right now.
For me, it's hard to say long-term because you look at last year and he led baseball in saves and he was an all-star. And so between then and now, suddenly he is not the same player. Is he having a down year, or is this, foreshadowing, a harbinger of what's to come for a player who maybe needs a change of scenery? The thing that makes me reluctant to want to trade him is the fact that you do have him for 3 more years under arbitration control.
Yep.
And so he's a player at his best who is a lights-out, wipe-out closer, a guy who was all-star caliber less than a year ago. And now, is it the new management? Is it the pitching coach, somebody who you were critical of yesterday? Is it something that will change for Camilo Doval with a team change or a personnel change? Does he need to just have a 2-week time where maybe you put him on the IL with a blister like you were saying yesterday and give him a little time to reflect on what he's doing and he's able to bounce back and get back in there and resume? Or is it a total loss? I have been hearing some of the same whispers about things like immaturity and a certain amount of petulance, and you saw it when he lost his temper in the dugout, when he had to go in there in garbage time. He clearly was unhappy about it. And I look at him on the mound, and he looks more unsure of himself than ever before. Fidgety and brooding. He's digging his feet on the mound, and he's throwing pitches 3 and 4 feet outside the strike zone, walking guys like you're saying. So something clearly is wrong. Is it fixable? If it's not fixable, then yeah, he would be a very valuable trade piece.
Look, first and foremost, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco and Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. For a low-rate auto loan, apply online or just ask for First NorCal financing at the dealer. I would never make a point like this based on one outing, but I will tell you that what happened on Sunday was really triggering, because if you're going to make the points you've made, Camilo, don't bring me in unless it's a save situation. I don't pitch well unless the little light show happens before I come out, which had never happened before this year. If you want to start having diva-like characteristics, then when you get to a day that is that important for a team, literally the vibe that they're going to have for the entire All-Star break rests on this game. Your $31 million starting pitcher goes out and almost throws a perfect game. 7 innings, 1 hit, faces the minimum, 21 batters. Stakes you to a 2-0 lead. Your setup man comes in and in less than 10 pitches gets you to the 9th inning. You walk in there, that's attitude time. You better be that badass that you think you are. That is lock down, stop messing around. This is the moment that I have for this team. And you walk out there and you just start walking people when you're up 1-2. No. And then you groove breaking pitches to 199 hitting Manny Margot so he can tie the game. Dude, if you're a badass, be a badass. That ain't badass.
No, and he had been. His last 4 outings before that, he had allowed no runs, 4 hits in 4 innings, and racked up 3 saves in those 4 games. So it seemed like he had turned a corner. But you're right about the emotional and the momentum part of what Sunday meant, because Blake Snell was looking for his first win as a Giant, and he finally pitched 7 innings like the Blake Snell you were expecting, and you had a hold, and you got the ball 3 outs away from heading into the break with a shutout. You get the save, and everything's hunky-dory, and yet after 4 batters, this game is tied, and you got to come out of the game after a third of an inning. It's disappointing. Everybody has a bad game, but it's the way he looked, the body language, and the fact that Bomel wouldn't even let him try to work his way out of it. That, to me, tells you a lot more than just him having a bad outing, because after those 4 batters, like you said, 2 walks, a strikeout, and you gave up a double down the line to a 199 hitter, and that's it. You don't get to pitch anymore. That, to me, was a signal of how they maybe feel internally.
Well, that, and I think that's a very, very good observation, number one. But number 2, let's not make this about he's been doing good and then he had a bad outing. This is a negative WAR player this year. And I don't know if that resonates for everybody the way it does for me. That means that a replacement level guy named Bob is doing better this year than Camilo Doval. That's the whole year.
Negative 0.1. So he's basically.
But we did this yesterday.
A neutral player.
That's not good.
I know.
That's terrible.
For your closer.
There are 3, we did this yesterday, 3 negative WAR active players on the Giants this year. 3. And that's it. One of them's Blake Snell. I think we all understand that story. That's quirky, and that's Blake Snell. The second one is Camilo Doval. The other one is Luke Jackson. That's who this guy, that's the company he's keeping right now.
And it's more than just that one game where he came in against the Angels up 13-2 and gave up 4. Remember, he gave up the 4 to the Yankees earlier in that month in a critical spot, and he blew that one. So
he ruined a game in Pittsburgh. Yep. He has had, look, I'm just going to say, these are a bad year. This is not a good year. I don't care that he's 17 for 21 or whatever, and that's commensurate. I'm sorry. His ERA is 4.5, and he has not been good. And when you combine not good with attitude, you mentioned that he was an all-star a year ago. That actually worries me. He feels to me like someone who had that all-star nod go to his head. That's what it feels like to me, because I never saw this before with Doval.
Right.
Last year, this guy showed up, and what did we say about him? Oh, my God, he's got a slow heart rate. He's perfect for a closer. Like, nothing bothers him out there. A year later, he is assaulting a water cooler. He's got no heart rate? Oh, yes, he does. Oh, yes, he does. And what did he get mad at? He didn't get mad because he blew a game. He got mad because he didn't like that his manager put him in? Ugh. This got undersold a few weeks ago. This is an ugly, ugly thing that we saw that day. I don't like that at all. And now that I'm starting to get the vibe that this is not a one-time thing, and you go out there and perform like he did on Sunday, listen, all I'm saying, you can play this just like the Utah Jazz if you want to, if you're the Giants. We don't have to get rid of Camilo Doval, and we don't even want to get rid of Camilo Doval. But if you want to make us a jamming offer, we'll get rid of Camilo Doval.
Yeah, if the phone rings and there's an offer there that includes a prospect and a major league player who can help you now, you're probably looking to make that move because, as you mentioned, I think there's more desperation for Farhan Zaidi than there is for the Golden State Warriors to maximize the Steph Curry window. If you want to just compare desperation levels, I don't think the Warriors are desperate. I think the Warriors are antsy. The Warriors are eager and they're antsy. I do think that the Giants have more of a level of desperation. It's beyond urgency now. You're still below 500. You're behind 5 teams in the wild card to get to the third wild card, and you're running out of games. And if you're Farhan Zaidi, you're running out of time. So we've gone beyond urgency. I don't think we're quite to desperation, but you're looking to make moves here, as you said, in the next, 14 days until the deadline. The team's got to play well, and you got to get this team better for the stretch run.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that take. And maybe that's not great for Giants baseball because it does sort of leave us open to the idea that Farhan Zaidi is going to be acting for himself rather than what is best for the organization going forward. Like, you want Farhan to make deals at the deadline because they're good deals for the team, not because he's trying to save his job. That could fly in the face of one another. I don't worry about that too much because I would like to see the Giants make the playoffs this year. I think they've got to make the play. They should make the playoffs this year when you look at that pitching staff. But we're now down to this ridiculously small sample of getting your act together. You know, you've got 11 baseball games. Luckily, 7 of them are against the Rockies. You should win 5 or 6 of those. If you can go split 4 in L.A., you should be back to 500 and you should buy. You should go for it. But that's a whole lot of shoulds.
Yeah.
And the Giants don't do the should game very well because they've lost a lot of games this year that they should win. And Camilo's a big part of that too.
Right. And I'm just looking at the game log and you can just close your eyes and remember 3 or 4 or 5 of the games where, they were going to be wins and he just didn't have it that day physically and or mentally. And now you get to this spot where, what he did on Sunday, it's not inexcusable, but just the way he went about it and just the fact that Bob Melvin didn't hesitate to come out and say that's enough.
Yep.
After 4 batters, 2 walks and a hit, and 1 strikeout, enough was enough. They had to fix it.
And who stranded a runner at second with 1 out? Who did that? Ryan Walker.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man.
And you said it yesterday.
He's got the look.
We're at the point now where you have to flank Camilo Doval. You got to keep a pitcher back just in case he doesn't get the job done.
Right. You'd like to use Walker in the 7th or 8th inning.
Exactly.
And now I'm kind of like,
we need a just in case pitcher.
Let's go to Will and Marin with Willard and Dibs. Hi, Will. What's up?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I know this. You guys brought this up on the before, but I think where MLB fails is just kind of like their marketing. Like, for instance, the NFL, when there's a game on Thursday or Saturday or a weird time in England that no one wants to get up for, but we get up anyways because there's only 17 games, You literally just press a button and it's there and it's in your face, and they have like all these things leading up to it, and it's amazing and it's the hype. The UFC, they do a great thing. They give you all the prelims for free, so it gets you into it. You learn the backstory. You learn all the fighters that are coming up on the main card. And you're like, you know what? Shucks, I got the homies over. Let's just get the fight. We'll all pitch in $10 and we'll get it. And they do that. Baseball, it's terrible. You try to watch a Sunday night game, you need to go through your cable provider, then you got to go through this loop, and 90% of the time you got to call customer service, and you're missing this point that they don't explain. They're just very bad at casually giving out their product. And I think that if the MLB was better at giving their product and had more eyes on it, it would make people more attracted to it. Now, I know the next thing I'm going to say I'm probably going to get destroyed for, but that's fine. I personally think that we kind of already lived through the most exciting part of baseball when there was steroids. I'm not saying bring it back, but I just don't think you're ever going to get that type of explosiveness. It's really hard to market 162 games in general, and when you're kind of changing baseballs and rules and stuff all the time to kind of 180 it and never letting anything kind of set in stone to see how it goes, it's going to be hard. It's kind of turned into a circus. I enjoy it because I've been watching baseball for my entire life, but I do understand as a casual fan or someone trying to get into it, it's like me trying to get in the chess. It's going to be very tough.
Yeah, thank you. I think those are some really good points. And again, I brought up the idea earlier. I just watched my sons yesterday get so activated by the home run derby. And for one of them, at least, the main reason was he's like, if Jose Ramirez wins, then he gets a 99 card in MLB The Show. And I'm like, can you say that in English? But like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like you gotta weigh, if you're worried about the young fan, you can't pull the young fan to you. You got to go
meet
to
where they live.
Exactly. Got to go to where they are.
No doubt.